I'm Tugce. I lead communication marketing efforts at Citrea, trying to explain Citrea as much as we can to a broader audience with the goal of onboarding more people to Bitcoin non-custodially. That's kind of the goal, and kind of fostering a community who care about on-chain finance secured by Bitcoin and reaching out to those who've been waiting for this financial world on-chain secured by Bitcoin. That's what I'm trying to do in Citrea. So I thought giving like a overview will set the stage maybe for the next speakers and for the night. This is kind of my non-technical perspective on how things unfolded last couple of years, because I feel like things got pretty crazy at some point for this space, and maybe with this overview we can try to pinpoint that trigger point. So that's kind of basically my take on how things evolved. Right. Okay. There are, seems like, approximately 40 Bitcoin layers today. This is from bitcoinlayers.org, which is an awesome initiative to do risk analysis framework and research on these like really rapidly evolving layers and landscape of Bitcoin scalability. They're really awesome guys who care about Bitcoin and the scalability landscape. So they select projects to put on their website. So my guess is that that number is higher on other projects and documentations. So is this something worrying? And at what point we reach this number? That's kind of my exploration today. What happened? I'm not going to go into a lot of details here, but around 2013, we kind of saw this ideation and introduction of sidechains. I believe first paper was by Blockstream, right? And then followed by RSK's sidechain white paper, and then we start seeing these solutions in production. So this idea of wanting to do more with your BTC is not something new, right? Like people, builders, OG builders in this space have been trying to figure out how you can use your BTC in more complex way and maybe avoid kind of high L1 fees and have faster transaction time. So we see in 2014 emerging of sidechains, and the construction is still evolving, design space is still evolving, especially for Bitcoin space, for sidechains, right? We have now merge mining, we have, I think today we have different projects that do like some extra touch to merge mining to inherit more Bitcoin security. But the idea is that these solutions kind of had their trade-offs and layers of trust assumptions that maybe people didn't want to take on. And my guess, that's why maybe they didn't gain so much of traction or mass adoption. Around 2018, we see Lightning Network, which is, is really important progress for scaling Bitcoin. You kind of get really like kind of a true L2 from Lightning Network, but it's limited with expressivity, right? So proposed in 2015, but made kind of possible by SegWit upgrade, which is kind of solve this transaction malleability so that you separate signature from the transaction data. Now TX IDs can be fixed, which is important for Lightning Network because it kind of depends on the sequence of transaction with fixed transaction ID. So if you kind of we're able to change those transaction IDs, system kind of gets less secure and unstable. So SegWit upgrade, the separation of transaction ID and signature made it work. But it also made it possible to put arbitrary data on Bitcoin and made kind of ordinals possible, right? You had kind of limited posting data, limited to, I think, 10 kilobytes. So you have 1 megabyte of transaction, 3 megabyte of signature. You could post data and made ordinals possible. And then we go to 2020, Taproot upgrade, which is kind of, I'm not like super technical person, but I think enabled a tree of script, and each script could be like as big as a block, right? So like you have now multiple paths, span paths for UTXO. But indirect consequence was increase in how much data can be embedded. Now you can have like an entire block of data embedded on Bitcoin. Okay, kind of, yes.
Just a small addition there. So it's widely believed that Taproot made so that you could fill an entire block with data. What it actually did, it decreased the amount of overhead you needed from like 10% to around like 1%.
Okay.
What you needed to do before was you needed to split the arbitrary data around between different inputs. It could still be one transaction, but you needed to have it across multiple inputs. Now you can do one input and the whole data dump goes there. It decreases how much like extra data you need to.
Which is related to like tree of scripts, no?
It's just related to the standardness on the max script per input.
Okay.
So now you can fill actually a consensus rule per input. But we, the founders, Taproot Wizards, we make fun of this and we call it like, just because no one was doing anything with Taproot.
Yeah.
So here you're doing something with Taproot, there's a Taproot Wizard, but it wasn't like that Taproot made all this possible.
Oh, okay.
That's partly because like we're confusing people a little bit, so that's what I'm thinking.
Yes. Thank you. I mean, feel free to correct me if I think stuff, but thank you for that addition. And well, on the topic, now we have you guys here. So, if I'm not wrong, January 20, we have this ordinals framework, right? Now inscriptions are finally ready for Bitcoin mainnet. And then February 2nd, if I'm not wrong, we have this like full block inscription by Taproot Wizards. So this is basically life after Taproot and SegWit, and I think after these two events, things kind of started accelerating. Like a lot of talks around this embedding data on Bitcoin, arbitrary data. Now you can fill the entire block. Kind of things got sensational, right, around it, and then different discussions emerged on what you can do with that block space now that is available. And now, so we had Taproot, SegWit, and life after those two upgrades was ordinals. So life after ordinals, I feel like now, sovereign ZK rollups. So I believe first public conversation around sovereign ZK rollups was in June 11 with Eric Wall and Preston Evans. Eric Wall from, no, it's not the first public.
Yeah, that's me.
That's you, right? Yes, that's you. So by fireside chat with Eric Wall and Preston Evans, I think in Bitcoin Miami. Preston is from Sovereign Labs, brilliant product. And I believe they were talking about like how you can do ZK rollup on Bitcoin, Sovereign ZK rollup, and I believe Preston was talking about like client proofs and easy verifiability on Bitcoin. So this whole this conversation sparked, and I believe at the time our team was there to kind of like this mesmerized by the idea of now you can actually do like easy verification with that block space, a Bitcoin block space that made available, right? So this really stirred things up in both, I think, Bitcoin community and scalability landscape. And then you see, a month later, August 11, Chainway Labs, the company building Citrea. So we kind of did this inscription on Bitcoin, kind of putting our reducted idea of how you could build a sovereign ZK rollup on Bitcoin. This idea of easy verifiability ZK, like sovereign ZK rollup that you just inherit like Bitcoin security and Bitcoin becomes source of truth for you. This was our kind of sneak peek into this space, if you will. And then, August 30, we have our Bitcoin DA. So basically, we've been working on this for some time, and we did our little bit of a timestamp on Bitcoin with our inscription. And then later, kind of 2 weeks later, we were working on this Bitcoin DA adapter, which kind of allows you to use Bitcoin as a data availability layer. With making Sovereign SDK, as I mentioned, Preston Evans was there with Eric Wall, their company Sovereign Labs, they have Sovereign SDK tools, so we made that compatible with Bitcoin so that you can have that Bitcoin data availability and security. And then we have now different actor here, Kasar Labs, at the time. So basically, I think we have 10 days in between. They also released their open sourcing of data availability adapter, specially designed for Madara StarkNet sequencer. I think they collaborated with Taproot Wizards for this, right? I'm not sure where they are at right now with their progress, but so around this time, basically, June, July, August, September, like there were maybe a handful of people trying to explore this and build, Quasar Labs, Taproot Wizards, Sovereign SDK, Chainway Labs. And then we kind of progressed further, and we wanted to showcase our progress more. And we sent first EVM, full EVM transaction, fully secured by Bitcoin. Like, you know, we have now, we could embed data on Bitcoin to inherit its liveness, reorg resistance, censorship resistance, and we wanted to showcase how much we progressed. And then, okay, I feel like this might be here the trigger point where things went crazy. So, okay, what is the time? September, now October. Here, towards the end of 23, we have now creation of BitVM. Again, I'm not going to try to explain BitVM. I'm not the person for this, but it's basically, my understanding is that your kind of lets you optimistically verify complex computations on Bitcoin, right? So this can be different types of computation, but I think most excited and useful use case that people figured was building a bridge. And then, now, life after BitVM. So here, I want to mention around kind of our progress around this. The BitVM team, Robin Linus and ZeroSync, they have their own progress, different, I think, testnet, super testnet. There are different people in this space, different builders. I think Taproot Wizards are doing their own design. So a lot of builders now kind of got interested, obviously, in BitVM and try to put forward their own design and way of building with BitVM. So we also definitely took that, how to say, we definitely saw the value in this creation on technology. So I just want to kind of do a timeline of what we did. This December 23. Soon after, when this was published, our team got nerd sniped. So we definitely got into this fully, talked with the team, and then we did like toy BitVM implementation in Rust to implement some of the do experiments with BitVM. And February, we actually revealed Citrea. Now, what Chainway Labs has been working on had a name called Citrea. And March, we announced BitVM Grow 16 Verifier, which I believe may not be so relevant now because of BitVM 2, but at the time, that's kind of what we put forward. And then, again, same month, we published our bridge design around BitVM, Clementine. Okay, so this is kind of the timeline. And now, after all of that, at some point within last month, so I said approximately 40 layers emerged, and I think about 30 of them were announced within the last 6 months. So, I mean, it's very important that this Bitcoin scaling landscape grows with builders building real products, experimenting with design spaces, architectures, so that we can really push this scalability landscape further, right? I really see value of joining more actors and builders in this space. But I feel like 30 Bitcoin layers in the last 6 months is a little too much, maybe, because building takes time. And we've been building Citrea, I think now more than a year, and we could only go to DevNet last month. It takes time. So there's, there are projects documenting security assumptions, progress of these layers that emerge, right? Bitcoinlayers.org is one of them. And I think there are different ones that are trying to document all this process so users can understand the risk they're taking on, if these projects are, the way they claim they are. So you can definitely try to check their GitHub, go to their Discord, talk to their team, look at their documentation, see what progress, the stage they are with their product. For us, we are on public DevNet, and we're really excited to be the first Bitcoin rollup to test its tech stack. We are testing right now Bitcoin is a data availability layer. We're testing our prover, sequencer, full node software, and setting the stage for further future rollups, development stage for future rollups. So there's nothing wrong with having a lot of builders interested in Bitcoin scaling solutions and building layers. It's just, you just need to separate the noise from the tech. And that's kind of what I wanted to wrap up. I feel like I got lost at some point, but you guys can take your trigger point wherever it was, but that's the wrap. Thank you.